America needs a tidal wave of the old-time religion.
I have sinned against you.
How dare you!
We have no need to doubt God.
The harlot Babylon is preparing the nations to receive the Antichrist.
I didn't even build that house with money from the church. I built it with money from my book.
I don't make this stuff up.
Repenting of your sin.
It is a moral issue.
They got together and swore a pact to the devil.
I just enjoy seeing people worship, praising God.
Hey everybody, and welcome to
Believe It
or Not,
the show where we believe it
or we don't.
Probably don't.
Probably don't. Yeah.
Nine times out of 10, probably not.
Yeah. I know we just had this conversation off mic. You know, let's fake it. So
yeah, Trevor lives in a popcorn box or something.
I live in a popcorn box. Oh, can you hear that? Yeah, I have a cat that tears apart cardboard as soon as I start fucking recording.
Why do you have so much cardboard?
He likes tearing it apart. How was your day?
It was pretty good. You know, I went for a nice long walk in the park. Well, outside.
Nice.
I walked through a park.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. How about yourself, Trev? Did you get
I
up
had
to
a
anything?
shit day.
Yeah. And on today of all days, for those of you who don't know, we record these things ahead of time. And today happens to be ye old St. Patrick's Day, as they call it back in Ireland, I assume.
Yeah, that's what they call it. They call it the old Sadie Day, Sadie Patties.
But what with it being a pandemic, people aren't allowed to go outside and get hammered drunk. So instead, it seems that they're taking it out on you. Yeah,
I guess so. They wanted to call in, take it out on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had the rudest customers today. But you know what? While I was dealing with rude people, I was also researching this topic on a separate screen.
Maybe that's why they were mad, because you were too busy looking up things for the show.
Maybe. You know,
like, I really need to get my garage cleaned out. Like, yeah, hold on, lady. I'm looking up about some religious nut job.
Yeah, I'm Googling shit. Yeah, I've told you before that somebody actually thought I was a robot once. I could do this in my sleep. You know how we've made other episodes of this podcast before?
This is news to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure most of the people listening right now for the first time didn't realize that.
So this isn't actually the first one. And a while ago, we released one about preacher scandals.
Yes.
And somebody commented, I bet you could do a full new episode on preachers that have done shitty things since this episode came out. And I was like, yeah. So that's what we're doing.
So this is Preacher Scandal 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I was thinking the Revenge, but yeah, I like that.
Revenge of the Preacher Scandals?
Yeah. Or
I like Son of the Preacher Scandals.
Son of the Preacher Scandals is pretty good. So these didn't all happen since the last episode. Most of them did. Some of them we just didn't talk about on the last time. So I thought we'd cover them. But for the most part, yeah, these are a list of preacher scandals in the last couple years.
Total preacher feature here.
I should preface, though, that they're not actually all technically pastors or preachers. Some of them are apologists, like famous apologists, so it's not technically the same, even though a lot of them speak in churches and stuff like that.
Right.
And some of them are like just Christian leaders, like musicians or Christian comedians, people like that.
But they're people within a higher authority within a religious framework.
Exactly.
They have a place to speak, and they're speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
You could say they are preaching.
Yeah, you could say that. Another caveat, a couple of these things we've talked about briefly on other episodes. Sue me, but we didn't talk about them like on the Preacher Scandal episode. And also, obviously with this kind of thing, there is going to be some mention of like sexual assault and stuff like that. So just as a warning to people who might not want to deal with that right now.
Yes.
So, yeah, so that's just something to think about. The first one is something people have reached out to me a lot about if I'm ever going to cover this, which we did talk about a little bit on the 2020 year in review. But Ravi Zacharias, a Christian apologist who, just the basic, like not very good at what he does. A Christian apologist. Well, he's not good at all because he's a dead guy now. He died in the spring of last year. But
all right, yeah.
But after he passed away or died, I guess scummy people don't pass away; they just die. It was revealed that he had been sexually manipulating and assaulting multiple massage therapists.
Oh, okay.
Throughout the world. So basically, he part owned a number of massage therapy places, and he would use his kind of influence and money and power to either bribe or blackmail or do different things to abuse women in his massage therapy places.
Wow.
And also when he traveled, because he traveled all over the world for, what he did, he would go to massage parlors and expose himself or sexually harass women within these organizations. It says 200 women have come forward. Wow. They estimate it's about 200 women. Yeah, they interviewed like 50 different people who all like kind of confirmed it. RZ or RZIM is his ministry that he owned, and it is still going, I guess, the Ravi Zacharias International Ministry, and it's like a, apologetics group run by his daughter now, but have, come out and said, yeah, this looks credible. Like, first accusation started in 2014, but they think it went a lot longer than that. So, but yeah, he was a very respected person. When he died, they talked about it, like Trump's press secretary talked about it, like and gave a shout out, I guess, to all his great work, and like you just saw people. Well,
we know that the Trump presidency has a really great track record for shouting out really good, hardworking people.
They're
totally
really
honest.
Yeah,
there are good people on both sides. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so just a class act group of people.
Wow. Well, good thing he's dead then, because fuck that guy. What else can you say?
Yeah, and I think a lot of, this is like less important, I guess, but a lot of his like degrees and things he said he had are kind of called into question as well too. Right. That he was just basically a fraud from the start.
Are any of these women coming forward? Are they seeking any like damages from his organization or anything?
That's a good question, because that would be good to take it down.
Take it down.
Like, I don't know, like if they're in the process of changing the name, but at least change the goddamn name of.
Well, you said the daughter has it now. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
And did she say that it sounded credible? Was that what you said? Okay, so they're at least on board that he was a piece of garbage. Well, not on board, but are being open about it being a thing.
Yeah. And one woman said to classify what he did to her as anything but rape is just not right. So like he's just a rapist. Like, he was just a bad person.
Okay. Well, way to start us off strong there. With total garbage man who is now dead, and the world's a better place for it. So
on to somebody who's not dead. Another apologist, though, guy by the name, I always call him Saitan blah, 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 but it's Saitan Brogan Kate. Okay. But he was a apologist. He's still a person, but he's an apologist. He came forward this month in March, so when we're recording, and said he had some moral failure and was stepping back from his ministry for a while.
Oh my God. I fucking hate those kind of arguments where it's like, it's a moral failure. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, no, you got caught.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all that is. You got caught.
And the thing is, too, like when the church that he worked for, or that he attended anyway, put out a statement, they said he had committed fornications with a vulnerable woman, which to me, that sounds like almost criminal, right? Like a vulnerable woman, like he's taking advantage of somebody, right? Like what does that mean? Like what's the meaning behind that wording? And
I don't know. Like that's a very strange way to put it. It's a very euphemistic way that also doesn't really tell what happened.
Exactly. Yeah, and he's deleted all his social media and stuff like that and kind of fled back. We'll see if he ever tries to make a comeback, but right now it looks like he's just like backed out and he's gone. I've seen him a lot in interviews with atheists. Like he always like he's on board to interview atheists or to debate with atheists all the time, and he's very smug. Like just one of the smuggest looking people you've ever seen. I may call people pieces of shit a lot because You know, that's just how I'm feeling. But
well, that's what this episode should be called, the piece of shit episode.
Yeah, we know it's not going to be monetized on YouTube already.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, so we're going full frontal on.
We're talking about a bunch of dumpster fires of people.
Yeah,
the last thing we need to worry about is trying to make money off of these assholes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a formal complaint by the woman sent to the church, and then the process went forward. So you don't complain about a sexual encounter unless there's he took advantage of you. Right. I mean, we're throwing allegations out there, but it all seems so sketchy, and like they're trying to like choose their words wisely and stuff.
I mean, it's always sad too that these kind of things just end up staying relatively internal too. Like rather than going to the police or anything, it's like, no, let's keep this within the church and complain within the church and try and get these things taken care of.
Exactly.
But I mean, at the same time, it's not like the police can necessarily do anything anyway. They're pretty ineffectual for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like you said, so much of it is people just not getting held accountable. It's the Duggars, like with Josh Duggar, how the parents knew what was happening and they told the church, and they considered it a sin issue, and they held it like they had internal discipline within the church, but never went to the police and never like filed any reports. And and then it comes out years later, and
that's one of those things, like religious or not, some families really internalize a lot of that thing too. Like they don't want to make it public record or something. They don't want to cause a scandal. But the weird thing is that they still went through like the church organization of dealing with that stuff, which I don't know. It's very bizarre.
Well, the thing is too, when I was a youth pastor, I was under the understanding, and I just also have a conscience, so I, went with that. But if there's if I think there's abuse happening, I have to go to the police. Like I'd legally have to go to the police. And that could just be a Canadian thing.
Is that true for pastor? I think it is with therapists, isn't it? Like,
you know what it could have been? It could have been our insurance that we had at the church.
Oh, maybe.
That could have been like part of the agreement for insurance, that if we heard about abuse, we had to go forward. It might not have been a legal issue as opposed to something where we have to sign that. Like,
right.
Yeah. So, but
I'm not really sure what the laws would be here in Canada as far as that goes.
Yeah.
I've never been a pastor.
Yeah. Well,
and the way things are going, I don't think I'm going to be. But I'm not going to rule it out. We all decide to change course midway through our lives sometimes. And
it can be pretty lucrative. Yeah,
that's true. I'm looking to make mad money, and maybe I'll learn something else today.
And maybe you'll have like a born again experience, and Road to Damascus, Paul, and you know what I mean. Paul sees Jesus.
I'll see the dollar signs in my eyes.
Speaking of dollar signs, Carl Lentz. We talked about him on the Hillsong episode. Maybe we mentioned him on the review of 2020, but I don't think so. I think I forgot to. But he's Justin Bieber's, like famous for being Justin Bieber's
cool pastor, right?
Cool pastor, yep. He was called out this year and fired. So he had 700,000 members of his church. Oh, that's on Instagram. He had 700,000 members. But he had a huge church in New York City with like a lot of celebrities and just a lot of like cool people and blah, 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 under the branch of like Hillsong. It's like the New York version of Hillsong. And he was fired in November. And for what do they call it? Moral failure, probably something like that. Yeah, they always do that.
Another bullshit euphemism that doesn't explain what they actually did.
Yeah, they also said as well as general narcissism, manipulating behavior, and mistreating people.
Oh, you mean a guy who runs a mega church that caters to young people, trying to get them on his side and playing the cool guy as a narcissist?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And then he, came out to his followers on Instagram and did like one of those big text wall things about how he was unfaithful in his marriage and he's stepping away from the ministry to focus on his family and all that. all that stuff. The woman he was having an affair with, who's like a fashion designer, came forward and was like, I didn't even know who he was. He would only tell me his first name and things like that. And which is like kind of what Ted Haggard did with when he was seeing that prostitute. He would like only tell him like a made up name or whatever so they couldn't Google him.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to like say one thing it is more like understandable than the other, but I don't know if it's normal practice to give a sex worker all your vital information versus someone that you seem to be having like a side.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
They are different. Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that they're not more important, but it's a little more, I think it's a little more transactional.
More and more people came out about just how abusive and gross he was and stuff like that. And then also a dog walker came out. Sorry, you were going to say?
No, I'm just, I'm always amazed at how surprised people are when these things come out. It's just like, what? How did you not know? How could you not see that from the very beginning with these people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly. And I guess he, and other people in the church accuses of like accusations of racism within the church leadership and like very like tokenism and things like that. And they would allow LGBTQ people to be on staff in certain ways as long as they promise not to act on their sin.
Okay. Oh, there's another surprise. A church organization being discriminatory towards other people?
Yeah, weird.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then another thing was a dog walker who claimed that because he had keys to go in and get their dogs from the house or whatever. So he went in, was told nobody would be home at that time, and he could hear sex noises coming from the bedroom. He's like, ooh, awkward, and gets out of there quickly with the dog. But then Carl Lentz comes out with a young celebrity. He wouldn't say what celebrity it was. He didn't want to like oust her or whatever, but with a young celebrity like looking flush like they had just bingity bonged.
Right.
So, and that was back in 2014. So
that's some goss.
Yeah, that's some hot goss right there.
Yeah, indeed.
That was probably in like the Daily Mail or TMV or something that I read that, but
those are your favorite go-tos, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So here's an example of one that didn't happen this last year. It happened in 2006 and is still kind of going on. But do you know who Kent Hovind is?
No.
Okay.
So is he Beethoven's brother?
Oh, that'd be cool. It's Hovind, though.
Oh, Hovind.
Yeah. And his son, Eric Hovind, does the stuff now. But he's referred to sometimes as Dr. Dino.
Dr. Dino.
He's like a young earth creationist who started the creation science evangelism thing. So, yeah, they go around. He's the one that sings like, maybe that was Ken Ham. They're both the worst. But they sing little songs to kids about how, there's dinosaurs in the Bible and evolution is fake and stuff like that. And, yeah, really brainwashy stuff. They've been using the same arguments for, 30 years now that have all been debunked, and they say them word for word every single time.
Is there anywhere in the Bible that really does indicate dinosaurs, or is this just something that they say?
It's something they say. There's a behemoth in the Bible, which is a big animal. So they're like, oh, a big animal, and that's gotta be a dinosaur.
Could be an elephant.
Could be an elephant. Could be a rhino, or and then
big dog. I don't know. It's we're gonna keep going back to the thing that has no verifiable proof or evidence for any of it being real, but the thing where we can continually see these things and the reasons by and the mechanisms in which they occur, not true.
Yeah, but his thing, he got arrested, spent 10 years in jail. So he was arrested in 2006. Obviously, he's out now, but there's still some legal issues. And I don't know if this is as much of a scandal, actually, because most of his people who already were on his side just saw it as a conspiracy theory. And just saw it as, they would do free Hovind and hashtags and just, he's being hunted by the government because they're trying to cover up his beliefs or whatever. But he just didn't pay taxes for a long time. He said he didn't count it as a business. It was a church, so he didn't have to pay taxes, even though it was clearly a business. And he also would withhold taxes from his employees, but then he wouldn't pay that money to the government.
Simple solution, tax the churches.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if we've mentioned this here before, but tax the churches.
Yeah.
But another issue with him is, I don't know if I mentioned, but he's also kind of just like a piece of garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he calls out YouTubers, atheist YouTubers and podcasters quite often if they make fun of him.
Really?
So, yeah. So, Kent, we just Google this stuff. If we got any information wrong, I'm sorry. But also, you're still garbage. Okay.
Hey, Kent, I think you should have spent more time in jail, you weenie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agree.
Pay your damn taxes and shut up.
Shut up. Stephen Furtick. Main reason I wanted to include Stephen Furtick is because I've been watching a lot of his videos lately, pulling clips for YouTube videos, and he annoys me so much. He's the guy in our intro that says, I didn't even build that house with money from our church. I built it with money from my books, which I have like burned into my brain at this point. That's referring to a house he built in 2013. 1,600 foot square mansion that, I mean, there's throwing this out there as a large number because they obviously don't live in Toronto, but it's a $1.7 million house, which, you know, in Toronto would buy you, what, a 2-bedroom apartment?
If that.
Yeah. Yeah, but 7.5 bathrooms and just like this huge property, and people called him out for that one. It was like weird too because they looked at the deed and it's not his name on the deed. It's like a weird holding company. So there was questions
trying to keep it. Yeah.
And then he came out and said, well, I bought it with money from my books. But then it's also like, yeah, but your church promotes your books. Your church does that thing where they buy a bunch of your books so that it gets on the bestseller list. And there's, a lot of...
It's like the whole thing where you have like a rich person saying like, I worked hard for this money, you know?
Yeah.
I pulled myself up, but I did this. I'm like, okay, outside of all the money that your family already had and gave you and led you to the success that you now have, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's just been a lot of accusations that the church, it's like a mega church with like a lot of people, but it's just it's a cult of personality. Like they really just worship him, and like watching his sermons too, you really see people just cheer for him at any little thing he did. And I tweeted that he's like Inspirobot, that website where it's just randomly inspirational things that don't make any sense. Like most of what he says is just like that classic thing where you say something and then say, but it's like this, and you just reverse the sentence. Like you think you want to drink a cup of coffee in the morning, but have you ever thought that maybe in the morning that cup of coffee affects you? And it's like, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's just like it. Yeah.
I wouldn't be so mad at these people if they were just honest that, like cut out the religion bit, just like, no, I'm gonna quote unquote self-help you to a better life. All you gotta do is love everything I say. If they were just like some shitty personality, I would be so much more okay with this.
Yeah.
But the fact that it starts taking advantage of people's belief systems and things that are so ingrained in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
That's very hard to break out of.
Yeah. And the church put out a coloring book with pictures of him in it for the kids in the church to color. It's like most churches, it's like you color a picture of Jesus, but it would be like pictures of him doing sermons and stuff.
Well, wouldn't coloring a picture of Jesus be kind of, technically against the Bible?
Yeah, kind of.
Isn't that like iconography?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. People, they would argue that it's okay with Jesus because he did come on earth, so he showed us what he looks like or whatever, so that's fine. But you still see pictures of God in the clouds and stuff. So
Right. Well, I didn't know. Oh, they just couldn't do it because you don't see pictures of them. I thought it was just you weren't supposed to have pictures of that stuff in general. Right?
Yeah, it depends on the denomination and stuff. Yeah, and a lot of the early rules was because they were against idols and like having false idols and yeah.
How do they feel about American Idol?
Ooh. I bet there are people who are so angry that it has the word idol in the name.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's Christians who will refuse to watch that show because it has idol in the name.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, another thing he did was he had this spontaneous baptism at his church where he's like, if anybody wants to be baptized, come up right now and volunteer. And then a bunch of people volunteered. They were just plants. He thought that if he got a bunch of people to volunteer, then other people would volunteer. But pretty much everyone who went up to get baptized were people he had pre-assigned to do it.
Wouldn't have most of these people have already been baptized?
Probably.
So then what was the point of being rebaptized? What does that accomplish?
Yeah, I don't know. Some people think it's really wrong, like to be baptized more than once. That you're just putting on a show, and
right.
You're taking value off the original one or whatever. And
see, I was never baptized, so I don't know the value of it. I don't know what it brings, what I'm missing from my life by not having this.
Yeah.
So maybe having more than one would be really nice. You know, it would be like extra good. You
That's
know?
true. Like you get to extra heaven when you die.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to heaven too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another guy was Bob Coy, 2014.
Like the fish.
Like the fish. So he had an affair with somebody in the church, stepped down, kind of a big mega church thing like that. So, you know, again, like, oh, I messed up. Let's take some time off, do some restorative stuff, and, you know, get healing and all that stuff. And then he tries to make a comeback in 2017, and somebody comes forward and says he's been sexually abusing me since I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
That kind of... He was still never charged. He was fired from his job that he took after he left the church, but he was never charged, and he's still out there.
Well, that's the thing. Right? Like, a lot of these things are so hard to prosecute.
Yeah.
You know, just based on the types of evidence they have and how they're able to pursue it. And then especially when there's someone with influence and money and power, it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
And then I think once you throw in the church into the mix, that just adds another layer of fucking rat fuckery.
Yeah.
know?
Well, that's the thing with a lot of pastors. There's like Stephen Furtick, yeah, it's a cult of personality, and you know, but there's nothing like that kind of abuse or anything that we know of. But he's, you know, it's still dangerous to look up to somebody like that, because then you get the option of people like this who can just get away with disgusting stuff for years because people look up to them and they think they can do no wrong, and it's just it's just awful. I think we talked about Todd Bentley before. He's a faith healer. He's bragged about punching people in the stomach to cure their colon cancer and stuff like that. Right. His first scandal was when I was still a Christian, but had given up on faith healing and stuff like that, and was like, and that charismatic stuff I just stopped believing in. He cheated on his wife with his intern or assistant or somebody on staff, and then ended up divorcing his wife and marrying this person on staff. Again, he took a couple years off and then went back into the ministry and stuff like that. But then in the last couple years, there've been more and more accusations about him, you know, sending inappropriate text messages to interns.
It's almost as if the church kind of is so sexually repressive that as soon as somebody has any bit of authority where they can branch out and take advantage of that, they're going to.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, within the church. You're constantly preaching about purity and avoiding sexual contact. And anything sexual is automatically a sin. So it doesn't matter what line you cross, you're already sinning. So just having sex with somebody, two consenting adults, is a sin and evil and wrong. So, you know, taking advantage of somebody is also a sin and wrong. And a lot of these people, too, they'll preach that all sins are equal. So all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm already sinning. I'm just going to go further. I'm just going to keep going further. I'm going to use my authority, and I'm going to...
it seems like all sins are equal just seems like a blanket term for them to get away with worse crimes than normal people will.
Yeah, 100%. So he's been accused of sexual misconduct with men and women, caught in drug use and stuff like that. Charismatic organization this year said that he is, ungodly and immoral, and including substance abuse, and that he has no place within ministry and will not be supported by any of their leaders or pastors or whatever.
I find that hilarious too, where they're like, he's ungodly and immoral. And I'm like, well, I don't know, because it seems that a good portion of people who are supposedly godly and moral do a lot of these terrible, terrible things.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Bible is chock full of people doing ungodly and immoral things.
Yeah, and then they're shown as heroes. And that's why so many Christians supported Trump, because it's like, he's messed up and stuff, but he's the leader God chose, and we have to you know, honor him and treat him like his asshole shoots out honey.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think God did a lot of immoral and ungodly things too.
I think so. I would say so. Killing multiple people, commanding that you smash babies' heads against walls.
Yeah. Killing all the firstborns too. He did that, right?
He did that. Yeah.
Because
So
nothing says just, true, and godly like murdering a bunch of children just because you don't like somebody.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm working on a video about this now, but like just about things that the church really tells you that you lose when you walk away. And one of the things that they preach over and over again is that without God, you have no sense of morality. And it's
I fucking hate that argument so much.
Yeah.
The other thing too, like so many people, it's less, not even just that you lose your sense of immorality, but they'll counter that. They'll say that, well, all of our sense of justice is based on this kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, it's exactly.
And even if that were to happen to be true, which there are elements that are, that doesn't mean that we weren't able to learn from that and adapt it and then refine it and make it better over time. Like just because there's something that has been such a large part of human culture doesn't mean that it's obsolete now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's not obsolete now, which it is.
Yeah. So we mentioned Jerry Falwell Jr. If you're like wondering why I haven't talked about Jerry Falwell Jr., I think we talked about him quite a bit on the 2020 in review episode about his cuckery and all that stuff. He's still making a go of it, and he's still trying to get back out there. So
aren't they all?
Yeah. And another one is John Crist. So John Crist is a Christian comedian who has been accused, or was accused last year, maybe a year and a half ago, of sexual misconduct, and using his kind of power as a Christian comedian, as like the number one Christian comedian, to offer free tickets to people in exchange for sexual favors, to take advantage of people, to assault people and harass people with immunity, and just to be a disgusting person. And so he came out a couple months ago and was trying to, or like maybe half a year ago, to try to apologize and try to get his name back out there. And it's always that I made some huge mistakes and I hurt people along the way. And it's like, no, you did sex crimes. Like, you're a bad person who hurt people, and just stop.
Yeah.
And just like, you're not going to go to jail probably. You just don't have your terrible. I mean, I don't know if he was a terrible comedian. He was better than a lot of Christian comedians. He wasn't my thing, but I'm not going to call him necessarily a terrible comedian. But so you can't be a comedian anymore because you're a piece of shit. That's your punishment.
How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that's, sorry, bud. It's over, and and I'm okay with it being over for him. Yeah, I guess there's other people.
I mean, we could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And on, right?
I don't wanna.
It's like what I said. Like, so many of these people, so much of it is sexual based too, and it goes back to that repression that just they want to talk about morality, but what is this so-called morality leading to?
Exactly. And it's that they hold this position of power, they tell other people what to do while they're doing the exact opposite. And it just I don't know, when I was in the church, and just like I mentioned this before, there were times where you just like really look up to these people, and like when they do something bad, it's like this big crushing thing. And then for other people, they just immediately jump on the we don't know the whole story thing. God forgives. God's the God of redemption. Everybody gets second chances, and it's like, but like, no.
It's pretty crazy, man. I was never in the church. I never grew up in it. I was never a part of it.
Yeah.
And I somehow know that a lot of this stuff is bad.
Yeah. Well, and it's like anytime like anybody gets canceled or, whatever, because they, turned out they're a piece of garbage, like in Hollywood and stuff like that. There's always going to be people like saying, oh, we don't know the whole story and all that same stuff. And or like, oh, it's just cancel culture. And I just think it's time people face the music. And
I definitely think that the internet can definitely get carried away sometimes very quickly, and I think it is important to be able to understand everything and reflect before like a huge passing judgment. But at the same time, you have to understand, like, no, man, there's enough evidence here.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to just be like, stop, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God! Wow! Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Patreon Bible study, where it's time for thank yous and prayer requests. Damien, do you want to hit us up with the thank yous?
Yeah, I want to thank a few of our Patreons. I want to thank Sydney, Olia, and the Portland Norm. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and pledging to us and helping us make more of this for you guys.
Yeah, really helps and really does a lot to keep us going, and we really appreciate it. A lot of times we get demonetized because of the clips and stuff we use and things like that. So this really helps kind of, tilt that a little bit and make it worth our while a bit to keep doing that stuff. And I though have a prayer request for Chad. Now Chad is my brother. I'll be full disclosure here.
This isn't the first time you've said a prayer for Chad, is it?
This is not the first time I said a prayer request for Chad. And Chad, I just think we should pray, and please just keep this between us. But he has a cat named Bo. And Chad talks about this cat like it's his own son. And it is not his own son. It is a cat. And we need to pray for healing for Chad, that he stops thinking that this little cat is his child and stops dressing it up in funny outfits and bringing it, in a stroller through the marketplace. And if we could all join hands and just say a quick prayer for Chad.
For sure. Now, Trevor, I don't mean to judge, because I know that this is not a space for judgment, but this sounds an awful lot like your own experience.
Right? Yeah, that's true. I'm also.
I don't mean to judge. Yeah. I just was I thought I'd bring that up with you and Jagger. And
I currently have my cat's head rested in my hand. Which is very adorable.
And he's dressed up like the baby Jesus.
And he is dressed up like the baby Jesus. Yeah. But in my defense, we were working on our nativity photo shoot.
Right.
Christmas card.
Okay, so dressing him up for a nativity photo shoot, Christmas card is okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay,
I'm Mary, Chad, obviously, and my fish is Joseph, and then Jagger is
and the TV is the camel.
Yeah.
And finally, we have one for our friend Anthony. Now, Anthony, I know that it's a difficult time now, and we're trying to keep everyone safe. But I just got to say, you've been using the hand sanitizer a bit too much, and people are worried that your hands are just they're getting too chapped and gross from just constantly putting that alcohol-based solution all over your hands. And we think you have a hand drinking problem. So
okay.
if you could cut that back a little bit, we would really appreciate that.
You smell fantastic, though. Hand sanitizer smell is beautiful, but yeah, we're just gonna pray right now for Anthony's abuse of hand sanitizer.
And let's pray for all the germs that have died since he started doing this.
Yes.
Do we believe in germs?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It is just a theory.
Yeah, that's true. Right. So there's no point in you doing that, Anthony. Yeah. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, germs are just a theory. No point.
But your friendship to us is not a theory.
Yeah, exactly. Should we move into the Christian rock lyric?
Let's do it.
Bam.
Can't you see you're not making Christianity better? You're just making rock and roll worse.
All right. Was this band canceled?
No, it's a singer. She's but
should she have been canceled?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't think she was ever that successful. So
okay, well,
maybe maybe we'll help her skyrocket to fame.
That's true. And if we do, she can give us a call and we'll have her on the podcast to talk about Newfound Fame.
Exactly. Yeah, give us a call. Her name is Donna Jackson. Reach out to us. The song is called Pastor's Song.
Ah.
You answered the call and obeyed God's command. He sent you here. We know you're in his hands. Your message from the word touches our very soul. We've seen your faithfulness, and we want you to know, Pastor, we love you. We appreciate all you do, and God sees the sacrifice you've made for Jesus Christ. And it goes on talking about how awesome pastors are.
Right. It talks about how awesome it is to be a sniveling worm.
Yep. Basically, yeah.
Simping for the Lord, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Man. It's so funny that kind of glorification of that, bowing down and obeying and all that shit.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, not adhering to any of that whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah. Especially the people in power. Like,
yeah. It's weird because this episode actually didn't help me get into a better mood.
Wait, did you think it would?
I don't know. Just seeing my bud Damien talking to you over Zoom, I thought maybe would help. I got my cat calmed down now, sitting on my lap.
Oh, that's
But yeah,
good.
for some reason, I'm still not in the best mood. But I'm going to remedy that. I'm going to make some chicken pot pie. And we'll get this. But But everyone out there, thanks for taking the time to listen.
Yeah, you know what? If there ever was a food that was just and moral and good, it's chicken pot pie in my book.
I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, and if we get any vegetarians calling us out on that, I don't care.
Well, I'll make you a vegan chicken pot pie. I bet I could do a good one. Yeah,
probably. Yeah, and then it would just be pot pie.
Yeah, I guess so. But chicken with like the apostrophe in it. Had that vegan chicken. It was instead of
it's like
it has
chicken IK and then yeah.
Used to sell that at the restaurant.
Is it made with chickpeas?
Maybe. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. Could be.
I don't know. If anyone knows, send us an email.
And thanks for subscribing, reviewing, commenting. Thanks for all the Patreon patrons one more time. You're the best.
Every one of you.
Every one of you. Bless you. And also, you can join that team. And there's cool benefits eventually.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
We're doing our darndest. We're getting some things up there, and we're doing it for you.
At the very least, you'll get the episodes early. So
I mean, that's nice, right?
Yeah, but we got a whole list of things we're promising and we'll follow through on.
And if we don't, call us out.
Call us out. And also, me and Damien are going to do a Q&A soon. So if you got any questions for us, send them our way. And if you're a patron, you can even look at it.
And if you're not, then you never will see it. Ever.
Yeah. But we still love you.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you. And thank you so much. Have a good day.
We'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Work, Sky Moon.